Hello friends, welcome to Indispensable English. Today we are going to see the poem Vocation Unit 8 for Grade 6 from Honeysuckle book NCERT Syllabus by Rabindranath Tagore. Now let us see about the poet before going to the poem. The poet is Rabindranath Tagore, a famous Bengali poet. He was a Bengali poet, writer, composer, philosopher, and painter. He reshaped Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art with contextual modernism in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. He was born on 7th May 1861 and he died on 7 August 1941. His birthplace was Kolkata, West Bengal. It is in India only. He has received so many awards. Nobel Prize in Literature 1913 for his work Gitanjali. Now let us see the vocabulary. Before going to the poem or prose, we have to see the vocabularies. The first one, vocation. Vocation means employment, profession, occupation. There is another word in vocation, that is VACATION. We can call it as vacation, that is holidays. The next one, gong, means an object made of metal which gives sound when struck. Third one, hawker. Who is a hawker? A hawker is a person who travels and shouts to sell goods. Crystal, a jewel which looks clear and transparent, just like ice. Vendor, he is a street salesman. Digging means break up the soil or earth with hands or tools. Spade, it is nothing but a sharp-edged tool used for digging and cutting. Baked in the sun means heated because of excessive sunlight, excessive sun exposure. Giant means an imaginary superhuman. Chasing means pursue or run after. Now let us see a brief introduction of the poem. This poem reflects the thoughts of a little boy who is full of unimaginable desires, wishes, and aspirations. The eminent poet Rabindranath Tagore, who has won our heart through his presentation of our national anthem, is taking us to our childhood days. Every one of us has traveled with unfulfilled desires while studying in schools. Are these desires reasonable, sensible? Let us enjoy this poem analyzing the desires of the child. Now we have a summary of this poem. The child meets different kinds of people from morning 10 till he goes to bed at night. He meets a hawker at 10 when he goes to school through the land. Next, he observes a gardener when he returns home at 4 in the afternoon. It was that time, during the time of Rabindranath Tagore, the school would be over. Digging the ground, he notices a watchman before going to bed. The child thinks that the hawker is enjoying freedom. Like anything, the gardener does what he wishes, and the watchman is so free even at night, having nobody to control him. But this child doesn't understand the hardships and difficulties which they undergo in their occupation. We are all much enthralled by the imagination of the poet, who is able to read the mind of the child and expresses through his wonderful poem. The poet has employed effective poetic devices such as simile and other figure of speech to add beauty to the poem. Now let us have a short analysis of this poem, Vocation, in today's session. In this poem, the child meets three different kinds of people from morning till he goes to bed and expressing his longings, desires, wishes, and expectations after his keen observation of these people. Let's see the poem. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning and I walk to school by our land, every day I meet the hawker crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. I wish I were a hawker, spending my day in the road crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." So, in the first stanza, the child meets a hawker. Who is a hawker? A hawker is a street vendor, a seller in the street. When the gong sounds 10 in the morning, gong is a metal which produces sound when it is struck. So when the gong sounds 10 in the morning and I walk to school by our land, the child is going to school at 10 o'clock in morning and he is walking through the land. Land means narrow street. Every day I meet the hawker crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." The child meets every day at 10 o'clock in the morning. The hawker means street vendor who is crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." There is nothing to hurry him on. There is no road he must take, no place he must go to, no time when he must come home. So the child is wondering how this hawker is going so leisurely. He is having nothing to urge him to go fast. He doesn't need to choose any particular road and he hasn't got any place which he must go, or there is no specific time when he must come home. So the child is very much astonished and surprised at the freedom of this hawker. So here crying means selling. Next, I wish I were a hawker spending my day in the road crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." So the child wishes to be a hawker spending his whole day in the road crying, "Bangles, crystal bangles." Crying means not crying, shouting. Usually the vendors will shout. Then only their goods will be sold. In the next stanza, the poet meets a gardener. When at 4 in the afternoon I come back from school, I can see through the gate of that house the gardener digging the ground. So we can understand that during Rabindranath Tagore's time, the school used to be over at 4 o'clock, it seems. So when at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, I come back from the school, the child comes from the school in afternoon, 4 o'clock, and he could see through the gate of his house the gardener digging the ground. What does he do? He does what he likes with his spade. So the gardener is able to do what he wishes with the instrument. He soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task. If he gets back in the sun or gets wet, I wish I were a gardener digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. So, in this stanza, the poet tells he is returning from school at 4 o'clock in the afternoon and he is able to see through the gate of his house the gardener digging the ground. He does what he likes with his spade, means sharp tool used to dig the soil. He soils his clothes with dust. Nobody takes him to task. He makes his clothes dirty and nobody is giving him any work. Even if he gets back means dried in the sun or gets wet, nobody is going to scold him or control him. So the child tells, I wish I were a gardener, digging away at the garden with nobody to stop me from digging. The child wishes to be a gardener because he is so free. He is enjoying freedom, and so he wants to be a gardener. The next stanza, let us see whom the child made. Just as it gets dark in the evening and my mother sends me to bed, I can see through my open window the watchman walking up and down. The land is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. So here now it gets dark. So the child is going to bed. So before it is going to bed, before the child's mother sends the child to bed, the child can see through his open window the watchman who is walking up and down. The narrow street is dark, becoming dark because it is getting late, it is night time. And lonely means obsolete, that is solitude. Nobody is there. And the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The poet has given a beautiful simile here to compare the street lamp. The street lamp is looking like a giant. Who is a giant here? A huge personality. He is referred as a Superman. So the street lamp looks like a giant. The watchman swinging swings his lantern and walks with his shadow at his side and never once goes to bed in his life. So the child is amazingly observing the watchman who is swinging his lantern and walking with his shadow at his side, and he doesn't seem to go to bed throughout the night. So lantern, it is a lamp. It was used in olden days. I wish I were a watchman walking the street all night. Chasing means pursuing or following the shadows with my lantern. It is a lamp. The child wished that it is to be a watchman who is walking the street throughout the night, following his shadows with carrying the lantern, by Rabindranath Tagore. Now let us see the poetical devices employed by the poet in this poem. There are so many figures of speech employed by the poet in this poem. The first one is simile. What is a simile? A simile states that one thing is like another. We can identify simile by the usage of words such as like, as, and so. There are so many examples we can quote in our day-to-day life, but here I have given only some. He fought like a lion. She is as busy as bee. Simile employed in this poem is the land is dark and lonely, and the street lamp stands like a giant with one red eye in its head. The next figure of speech is salutation, bringing together of words which begin with the same consonant is called alliteration. I wish I were a watchman walking the street. So in this line, for which the first letter is W, where first letter is W consonant. The third, watchman, W consonant, and then walking. So all these words begin with the consonant letter W. So it is alliteration. Next one, repetition. What is repetition? The words repeatedly used. The words and phrases which repeatedly appear in the poem is called repetition. Why does the poet use repetition? To increase the musical effect of the poem. So here the example in this poem is bangles, crystal bangles. So last one, onomatopoeia. This is the name given to the figure of speech by which the sound of the words is made to suggest or echo the sense, like ding dong, roar, bubble, scream, meow, tick-tock, etc. Here the example in the poem is when the gong sounds 10 in the morning. Now let us see the conclusion. We find no words to appreciate the beautiful narrative skill of the poet, which is so inspiring. Yet he makes us realize what would happen if the child is left without control. During childhood days, the children will be innocent, not knowing which is right, which is wrong. When they become grown ups, they are able to accept that the elders have done the right thing in their life when they shine in different fields. Hope you would have enjoyed this video. If you have any doubt or suggestions, please comment in the comment box. Share this video with your friends. Like, comment and subscribe for more lessons. Let us meet in the next session with more interesting and useful information in English lessons. Thank you so much for watching.